Chapter 4, Episode 3. The story is the virus. It is irrelevant if it is fiction or if it is proposed to be true. Artemis could remember her grandfather telling her that when they had story writing time, those who wrote stories usually had ideas they wanted to propagate. That was a good thing, sometimes. Artemis missed her grandfather. He loved to teach her and took time to listen to her when she read or had questions. Her grandmother wasn't so bright. She might have been when she was younger. There was no learning from her though, unless you wanted to learn about Jesus. Artemis read to her from the Bible on most days. Sunday was a certainty, that was the custom, but Artemis would rather throw knives in the wall. When her grandmother was drifting off the sofa or on the porch swing, that is what Artemis did. She loved to throw knives. Artemis had the barn for that. She had a workshop and made many things. Her favourite things were weapons. Hunting and fishing were things her grandfather had taught her. He liked to be creative in his hunting and fishing methods. It kept the brain fit. He believed one could make and do everything to have a good life. They had made fishing spears together, bows and arrows, both for shooting fish and for shooting animals and birds. And of course, we only shoot what we plan to eat. The idea of a trophy hunting was blasphemy for someone who lived off-grid. That was what her grandfather told her. No dead heads on the wall. Artemis was okay with that. Throwing knives wasn't an efficient way to hunt, but Artemis loved the motion of it. She got the idea from a book she read where the assassin always carried throwing knives everywhere he went. He wasn't her hero, but she practiced on the targets she had built in the barn. It wasn't so easy to make a throwing knife. They had to be well balanced, and it required a metalsmith's oven to make metal malleable. Grandfather had built an oven that wasn't so hard. He had used it to make tools, horseshoes as well, many years ago when they had horses. Now it was just Nellie and Beatrice. They didn't need or want shoes of any kind. After practicing throwing from different positions and angles and arms, she practiced her bow shooting. This was more practical. It was the best way she knew to hunt wild turkey or pheasant. Wild hogs were on her wish list, but she needed to finish her next bow. It took a lot more to kill a pig than a rabbit. A pig was a lot of work. She would have to kill it in winter so she could freeze some of the meat. She could smoke some of it, make sausage. But that wasn't the day's plan. Having her morning chores finished and her weapon practice minimum behind her, she went for a run through the woods looking like a young Amazon warrior. She wasn't, she knew, just a hunter who liked to run over the dirt trails through the woods with her eyes, over searching for a small animal to surprise. This day's kill was to be with a wooden spear. No reason other than she had preferred bow and arrow when she was moving slowly with the kill her main object. Sometimes she didn't care if they had meat, fish or bird. She just wanted to run and sweat and not think of her fading grandmother or her vanished grandfather. She didn't want to think of herself either. Just to be mindful of where the land her feet as they moved over the earth. She always moved like a hunter, a wild hunter that made no sounds. Always quiet. A stealth hunter will usually find something to kill. Sometimes she surprised a deer or a bear, both too big for her needs. Sometimes big wildcats. She knew all the different names, but this day's surprise was a wild turkey. It was running ahead of her on the path. Artemis slammed her feet to a stop and released her spear and then started running again. The spear hit the turkey but glanced off its back. It threw it for a wobble, giving Artemis time to close the gap and throw a knife. But it hit but didn't stick. So she threw another and another right behind it. They both stuck and slowed the turkey down enough for Artemis to catch it and slice its neck through. That was the easy part. Cleaning and preparing and roasting, but it wasn't enough meat for a few days. But it was enough meat for a few days. She would take a piece to the neighbour. She would leave some out in the woods for raccoons or badgers or wolves. That was the best done far away from the house, where they weren't so welcome because of the chickens and the goats. So after collecting her spear and replacing her throwing knives on her levers, she took out her other knife she liked for cutting apart animals and birds. Fish too, but she had another knife she took with her when she went fishing. She gutted the bird on a rock, hacked off the head and the wings, rammed the spear through the bird and ran back to the house. There were no mirrors to look out into out the woods, bruv.
Doesn't matter, keep going.
But alright, there was no mirrors to look out of the woods.
Next sentence.
So she didn't know how scary she might appear to anyone who happened along the trail. That didn't happen often. There were a few hikers that walked by where she liked to fish, but they always made so much noise that she had time to slip under the water and let them carry on their journey without seeing her. She liked underwater fishing with a bow and arrow, so had become very good at staying under the water. Grandmother was sleeping on the sofa with half a smile when Artemis finally came in to cook up an evening meal. We're done, bro.